Hello, good morning and welcome to the Liverpool online music channel. Get me words right. This is Phil Beale's Mid-Morning Music, the weekly music podcast, and in this case spoken word today. So that's what we're going to be seeing today. It's going to be really exciting. So this podcast goes out weekly, as I say, on the Liverpool LVPonlinemusic channel, so check it out and check out the 11 previous interviews that we've done. They're all fabulous people, and the role that we have in this is to get people from the community, the local community and wider communities, into the studio to tell us their story and show us what they do, if that's possible, in a live context. And we're really fortunate today we've got that happening today, so I love that. That's what we try to encourage all the time. So today we have with us local spoken word artist and musician and composer, the official Joseph Robert. So come on guys, give it up. Hey! Good to see you, Joseph.
Nice one. I appreciate the invitation.
You're very, very welcome, mate. Very welcome. Just to give a bit of background so people know, partly why you're here. I was contacted by a mate of mine back in the Midlands, in Birmingham, a few weeks ago, to say that his former manager, where he worked, which actually was on the rail, and my mate is known in our group as Mind the Gap, obviously. And he's a conductor on the railways, and he said, look, my mate Craig, or former manager, is performing in your neck of the woods at this venue on this date. If you can get there, why don't you have a look at it? So I checked it out, and it's quite a strange arrangement, but I put me all in and said, right, I'll have a ticket. So, and the response came back, well, I'm sorry, but the venue's a secret venue. We can't even tell you where he's playing. I said, what? What's going on?
Yeah, that's what they do. That's what the Sofa Sounds do.
Tell us about it. Yes, that was Sofa Sounds. It was.
I don't know why. I think it's because it's £10 a ticket, if I'm correct. And they're all dotted around, I think, the world.
Yeah, so it's a worldwide thing.
It's a worldwide thing, yeah.
And so our local representative, I think the bloke introduced himself. Actually,
that's right, yeah.
So we get to this. I'll get the notification. Yeah, you're in. You've got your ticket. But we can't tell you where it is yet. So I went on to Craig and said, Craig, I'm Phil Smith's mate, and I'm coming to see you. Where am I going, man? Where am I going? He said, well, I'm not actually supposed to tell you this, but it's at Chapters of Us now. I hadn't actually been to Chapters of Us before.
Neither have I.
It was a great place, wasn't it?
Oh, lovely venue.
The only downside, I'd say, is that there was no artist amplification, which really surprised me.
Yeah.
Were you expecting that? Or
yeah, I was expecting that, but it is a coffee shop, isn't it? First a venue.
Foremost, yeah.
Yeah. So.
But it was a separate room in the back, wasn't it? And there was
That's right, yeah.
good audience. Did you bring many yourself?
Yeah, I brought my brother and my two mates. So we just went. That was the first time they actually watched me perform like live. So
you're joking.
No, honestly, yeah. They've seen me videos, they share me videos and stuff,
sure,
but
yeah.
they were there. They saw it live, and they were really like they felt it. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Well, God, that's why you're here, mate. Because when you performed, I really felt it. I really did. And so you've got a universal message in the work that I've seen of yours, and I can't wait to hear you again today. I'm really looking forward to that. So tell us a bit about your background, mate. I'm really interested in where does that come from? Is it right they're at university at the moment, mate?
Yeah, I'm in university.
Which one are you at?
I'm in John Moore's.
Right, yeah. Well, Chase used to has lectured there. Is that right, mate? Yeah, he's lecturing in film studies. Yeah. So you're at John Moore's.
Yeah, I've actually just finished my first year, like a week ago.
What? So that makes you about 18 years old? Is it?
I'm 18. Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
Mate, okay.
And I'm studying English literature and creative writing.
Amazing, right, okay.
And I've just always been interested in words, even just from a young age. Like, as you walk around, when you're young, as you go through life, you look at businesses and logos and slogans, and you look at symbols and like lines and catchy lines, and you think, why did they use that, and why is this? And I love the word play and things like that. I've always been interested in it. And then in primary school, I very much like my nursery rhymes, and like I've always liked rhyming, and I love music as well. So I'm almost playing the drums with words. That's what I like to.
That's how it felt. Yeah.
That's what I like to do. And then it was in secondary school, and I've wrote little poems in the past, But I wrote this poem, and it's the B poem. People know it as the B poem.
Okay.
And I wrote that, and I gave it to me. Firstly, it's about being who we want to be, and it's about identity. And I use a metaphor, an extended metaphor about us in society as it being like bees in a hive.
Sure.
And then so I gave it to my teacher, and he was like, "Yeah, that's really good," that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But then he left it in the staff room, and another teacher picked it up. And this teacher, she taught all the younger years, so year 7, 8, 9. And then she said, "Joe, I want you to come down to my last lesson on a Friday and perform that to my year 9 class." So I went down, and I was performing the B poem, and I performed that to them. And then she was like, "Joe," they all loved it. And I was like, "Joe, I want you to perform that next week in their assembly." So I performed that in their assembly.
Were you at all nervous about that in any way?
Yeah, I mean,
I haven't got any bloody cans.
I think at this point, I think I might have done one open mic before, or something like that.
Sure, yeah.
So I just performed that, and then someone recorded it on the side, and like, it's not a lot of views, but for me first ever poetry or of anything, I got like 3,000 views.
That's fantastic.
And so that was it. So then I got a taste for it, and I was like, "What's this all about?" So I decided, I started my own YouTube channel, started making videos.
Yeah.
And then it just led from there.
Absolutely fantastic. So you're now studying creative writing and literature, English literature. Another reason you're here, obviously, is that you're among a group of like-minded people, and it's really interesting that little bit of history that you gave us there, because that's kind of, I remember a lot of the stuff you've just mentioned there from my own childhood, because I really am a word person. I'm a massive reader, and did read very early. One of my earliest memories is I couldn't see what the fuss was about, because my family were going, I can't believe he's reading this. You know, it just felt natural to me. I read naturally almost. You know, so I was still at, I think probably still at certainly at early juniors, or maybe even infant school. I remember similarly to what you've just said, being in the back of my mum and dad's car, driving around the city centre, and I was doing the same thing. I was looking up at the Times building and reading it all out, and all the adverts and that, and I totally relate to that.
I mean, I can also remember being in the car with my dad, and like, if we had a long car journey, we'd play like the rhyming game.
Fabulous.
So the rhyming game where I would start with a line, and then he would start with a line, and we'd go back and forth. So I'd say something like, I don't know, I went to the shops, and then he'd say, to buy some lollipops.
Brilliant.
And then I go, I got stopped by the cops. And then we go back and forth.
That's brilliant.
And then by the time we got to our destination, you ended up on Mars, or like you're talking about like rabbits or just something stupid. You just,
I love it.
But I learned that development of like storytelling.
Yeah.
And how we can you starting literally from nothing, from thin air.
Yeah.
Words are just free entities. And then it's only when you take them and you harness them and you can shape meaning. And if you use a certain combination of words and put them next to other words, you can shape meaning that's intrinsic to you, and it's as unique as your own genetic code.
Yes,
that's how unique it is.
What a fabulous philosophy. That's wonderful. That's absolutely true.
Yeah,
absolutely true. So going back to the story of how we met. So you were the first artist, were you?
I was first on, yeah.
Yeah, and you absolutely captivated me with the words of your pieces. You did 2 pieces that night, which are the ones you're going to do today. And that's why I had to make a beeline for you at the end of the night, and say, please, can you come on here, because you're in the right place. And you've met a rapper today so far.
That's right, yeah.
You've met a visual artist. You've met a drummer, which I'm not judging to say, but that's our community here, So you're really in the right place. Of people that think in the same way about words that you do, So Royce does a lot of teaching and stuff about rhyming schemes and all the things that you're kind of alluding to there, But So where we're going to do 2 pieces, and the first one is called A Man's Manual. That's right. Yeah, which is the first piece. So, tell me about its origin.
So, A Man's Manual is about men's mental health, masculinity, and knife crime. And for me, I wrote it in one night, or I wrote it actually all in one night. It was all just imagine your brain as a blender, and you had all these ideas, all these things, and it just comes out in one big smoothie onto the page. That's what it was like, and I wrote it all down in one night. And with me, when I write, it's the first time I write it, it's pretty close to the finishing product.
Is it really?
Yeah.
So you think in that way? Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, sometimes with previous poems, I write it in sections, and I take my time on it. Could take weeks, could take whatever, and I just do bits. But for this poem, what we're talking about, I wrote it all down in one night, and I think I was just heavily charged by just masculinity in school, like just when I observe a lot. I like to observe a lot of things, and I just pick up on how people behave and how people move through life.
Yeah. So how old were you at this point?
I was 17,
Yeah.
17, so I was still in sixth form.
Yeah.
But just watching the younger years, watching people younger than me in school, and you just watch how we behave, because as people we are tribal and we are social animals.
Absolutely.
You could say. And it's interesting how when you approach somebody, how we change and how we try and suit to fit in. And I suppose there's no that's not a bad thing. I wouldn't say, but when you are no longer authentic to yourself, that's when it's different, isn't it? So I just watch how people with young boys fighting, and the way we change the way we speak.
Yeah.
Certainly from Liverpool, we our colloquialisms, like we might say lad a lot more, lad now, and just things like that. But why do we have to change, or why is this a thing?
Well, why did I get offended the first time my missus called me soft lad? It's not actually. It's when you get a bit more into or part of, you realise if you're actually being called soft lad, there's a lot of affection there, and they don't say that to people that they don't like. Yeah, it's not an insult, although it feels it. Just really, as a Brummie, you think, oh, but it's not about that at all, is it?
I can remember.
It's unique almost to Liverpool.
It is unique.
So local.
It
localised, you know.
I can remember in primary school, I don't know if you might have heard of it or know about it, but match attacks. Do you know what match attacks are?
I don't know what match attacks are.
They're like these football card games.
Oh, yeah.
And
okay.
So
you'd have to collect like the set and stuff like that?
Yeah, kind of thing. You get like a book full of slips, full of empty plastic, and you fill the book.
We had all that going on when I was a different name.
Now, in primary school, you trade on the playground and things, and you know. Now I can remember going home and learning all the football players' names, because I felt that if I was to now go approach the other boys, I need to know my football players' names.
Yes.
And then I've brought, you can, as a man, I'm sure you might know, but in a work environment, you must know your football. It's almost a talking point. And it's heavily embedded in within masculinity.
Again, it's tribalism. Again, it's really, really rooted, isn't it?
Yeah, of course.
We're talking about deep roots here that go back to prehistory here.
That's it. Yeah, exactly.
Without a doubt.
And these are all early symptoms, early signs. When you're a boy and as you're growing up, these are all early signs of masculinity.
Absolutely.
And fitting in.
Absolutely.
And what if you're that kid who doesn't want to?
It's hard, isn't it?
Yeah, it's
really hard.
Very difficult.
It's really hard.
You can have a tough time getting on.
Very, very. So that's the origins then.
Yeah, so I just wrote it, but I take it a little bit more serious. So he's like, basically this storytelling, this narrative of this man. I don't know who this man is. I just create a character, and he's going to the clubs, going to the pubs, and he's drinking. He's trying to keep up with everyone.
But the important thing there is it's not autobiographical, particularly.
No, of course not.
It's
no.
something you've been part of, but you're working in your work at that point as the observer.
That correct.
Fantastic. Well, what we'll do is we'll stop describing it now, and we'll move over. Joe's just going to perform live for us to his backing track. So, here we go.
When you put something together, you read the instructions inside the manual. They usually come with the product you bought. But when a man reads the instructions on how to build a real man, he will realise very quickly, according to the shop he bought it from called Society, that he is not enough. He looks at the packaging, and it's fascinating that a real man is shown so perfectly built on the box. Then he looks at himself and finds he has missing parts. The instructions say be strong, fearless, 6 foot tall and over, which leads to some men ending up 6 feet under. And there is no wonder why so many men don't try and take it and face it, because there are pages and pages of impossible instructions to follow in order to make it. And the brave man that remains and decides to build it ends up either breaking it or faking it. So he searches long and hard for the missing parts to create it. Goes to the clubs, goes to the pubs, starts drinking and mixing with different people in hope of changing how he's thinking, increasing the number of glasses, takes interest in others and copies all of them in his actions. Starts watching boxing matches, roars at the TV with passion but still cannot find the answers. Learns all the football players' names, goes to all the games, gets a trade, follows the steps of his father's footsteps, does what he can to be a real man. Tries to become one of the lads. Changes how he looks, begins dealing drugs, stays out all night, starts carrying a knife, commits murder, takes it that one step further, goes to jail, proves he's the alpha male, ends up the leader of a gang to be a real man. Flicks through the manual, doesn't understand it, it's as if it's written in a different language. He starts panicking, starts acting as fake as a mannequin. The mask of being masculine stops him from revealing his real feelings, so he keeps it in. Told to be a provider, told to man up and stop whining, so he decides to disguise it. Told to stop crying, so he starts lying and tries to hide it. Told to be emotionally silent, but at the same time be violent, and these are requirements. Manacles are wrapped round his wrists and ankles, shackled as he shuffles and stumbles round instructions. He can't tackle the fact he ain't a real man, which means he won't have a real son, and he won't be a real dad. And after going to all the games, he ain't a real fan, and it sends him real mad, and he feels real sad that he wasn't manufactured to society's satisfaction, and everything he imagined came crashing down into his hands. But he didn't have to look for missing parts. He just had to look inside his heart, because the whole time he was already a real man.
Whoa, Chase.
Yo, yo.
That's really affected me. It affected me the first time. That's really affected me. Thank you for that. That was absolutely remarkable. You really do strike a chord when people listen to you. And I saw that impact on... What would you say the crowd probably was on the night that we saw each other the first time? Probably about at least 50 people, I would say. It was like a big room, maybe more than that. Do you know what?
I'd say more. I think it was like 70 or something.
Yeah, but you're probably right. It was a fantastic atmosphere that you generated in the room while you were working. How many times have you done that? Have you stood in front of that many people before?
I performed in front of more people than that.
Tell us about that, mate. Thank you.
I've performed in many of the open mic nights. I've performed in an event called Moetry down in Manchester. That's very good. Moetry, so it's music and poetry, but the actual fella's called Mo.
Oh,
so,
is it?
as well.
No way!
So that's like another layer to it.
That's amazing.
So that's funny, isn't it? So
brilliant, yeah.
Yeah. So
how many people come to Moetry? Do you know roughly? I mean, it's about the same sort of more, yeah.
Like 100 something, 120 maybe.
Fantastic,
yeah, loads.
So when was your first public performance then? Like,
Of a man's manual?
Well, of anything really. Well, you've talked about a little bit about that, but when was the first time you'd say you actually stood in front of an audience that you didn't know, that weren't at school, or an audience as an audience? Hi, I'm.
Oh yeah. Well, actually, when I was 16, 17 performing, actually couldn't get into most of these places. For example, the Jacaranda.
No, that's right. Of course,
I wasn't old enough.
No ID.
So
that's right.
And some of them require or certainly back then, you had to order a drink to support it. That you couldn't just turn up.
Yeah.
So sorry, I can't do it. So we used to go to. There was another event. This is, in my opinion, this is like the probably the best open mic night in Liverpool, in my opinion. It Give Poetry a Chance, and they give Poetry a Chance during the lockdowns. We did them on the grass in Sefton Park. So I was performing in Sefton Park.
Wow. And
then we were talking about it, and he said, hopefully when with lockdown, when things get better, should be able to get you in. Fabulous, so yeah. And then I turned 18 then after the lockdown, and then I was able to go in and perform into all these places, and I've just picked up a little bit of momentum and just try and perform as much as I can.
Fantastic, mate. Yeah. So yeah, this I was saying to you earlier, we're hoping to get this out very quickly. Actually, it might well go out tomorrow morning. So you can give us some up-to-date information right now if you want to, if you'd like to. Have you got any bookings ahead of you in the next few weeks that we can let people know about?
I know there's a lot going on with A Lovely Word. This summer there's a poetry jam, lots of poetry workshops and poetry events.
Right.
And there's also a poetry slam.
Right.
Like competition.
Have you done that before?
I have not done it before, right. So I'm going to enter that.
I've seen that on the TV. I've never seen a live event of that. That is really remarkable.
I want to get into it.
Wow, yeah.
We're in London. It's big in London. Poetry, slam poetry. I'd love to get involved in it at some point. I think I need to. It's more of just book the train tickets and just go.
From what you've just told us about the way you used to work with your dad in the car on long journeys, you've got that going there, haven't you? It's the same kind of thing, really, isn't it?
Same kind of thing, yeah.
Absolutely brilliant, with perfect training.
You just go in bar for bar, like line for line, almost kind of thing.
Yeah, of course, yeah. Fabulous.
Yeah.
Don't let anything stand in your way, certainly not your fears, because you don't need that, because you are amazing. I'm not blowing smoke up your nose, mate. So we're going to come on to the second piece now, which is called X and Y. So can you tell us a bit more about X and Y?
So with X
just its origin, right?
Yeah, of course. So with X and Y, I was commissioned by an organisation in Liverpool called Writings on the Wall, and I was commissioned. I won the commission of £1,000 to write a piece about what happened tragically late last year with Ava White.
Absolutely, yes.
And
absolutely.
So but what I like to do is I like to write I like to group my themes universally.
Right.
So I wrote a poem called X and Y. So X being what happens. So for example, knife crime, a stabbing.
Sure.
And what happens, but we need to know why.
Yes.
So when X happens, we have to ask ourselves why.
Absolutely.
So I've kept it broad so that it can be interpreted. Because as sad as it is, I'm sure things will happen again in the future, unfortunately, and things. But we need to ask ourselves why, so that we can prevent it.
Yeah.
So for X is, we need to stop X occurring, reoccurring.
Yes, absolutely. So another treat in store here. We're going to see X and Y now from the brilliant Joseph Roberts.
When X happens, we have to ask ourselves, why? Why did it happen? That is the question we are all trying to answer. Why did X occur? And if we can't find out why, then X will get 10 times worse. X marks the spot, and an X is marked when something is wrong. So when an X of police tape cornered off both sides of the road, we knew straight away something wasn't right. We didn't have to be told. And who would have known that the X's on the end of a text would be the last thing that was ever read? As now there is an X on each I, because they are dead. X amount of people then gather at the funeral. The priest makes the sign of the cross. Then after there is a wake, and they discuss how nice X of a person was. Now if you turn X on its side, it can make a plus sign. So if we add ourselves together, we can find out why X keeps happening all the time. And with enough education, accurate calculations, and being thorough in our investigations, then we can solve this impossible equation. X plus U equals Y. What happens and how you react will decide whether a person lives or whether a person dies. So the next time X happens, we will know why. And those who ask, why did it happen? We will respond to them with an answer. We will have an answer. There will always be an answer. If X can mean anything, then anything can happen to a person. And the thought of that is unbearable, which means that we need to be careful. X isn't something we should just accept. X is something we must prevent. Because how many more X's have to happen until we see a pattern in our actions?
Thank you. Amazing. Truly amazing.
Nice one.
Are you happy with that?
Very happy, yeah. Thank you very much.
So you should be. That's absolutely incredible. So if you were to do a set in whatever context, in whatever setting, how long do you usually work for?
As in a set of when I was to perform. Well, in the Sofa Sounds, I did 25 minutes. But funnily enough, I was actually going to work the Liverpool Benfica game.
Work it in what sense? You mean
like
oh yeah,
selling
you were going
pies.
there that night selling pies. That's right.
Yeah,
sorry. I'd forgotten that. That's what you're doing tonight as well, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Well, I'm doing it at Villarreal tonight. Yeah. But
so you're a fan. So that's a. Do you get to actually see the game in between the pies?
Sometimes, but no, not really.
I don't think I could do that. I just don't know. If I could
It just
do
depends
that.
on the game. Like if
The
it's,
goal's going in though. Oh no, I missed it again.
I suppose it depends on. I mean, today's like a killer because it's important. But let's say it's Liverpool against Watford.
Right.
I'm happy to wear it because it's not.
No disrespect to any Watford fans out there.
No disrespect.
Well, lots of disrespect. Actually. Whatever.
You get what I mean?
Yeah, I do.
But
I
like,
get exactly what you mean.
I got the message saying, "Would you be able to perform tonight for that Sofa Sounds?" And I said, "I'm working, unfortunately."
Sure.
And
so they got you.
But then you went, like I want you to do like a 25-minute set, and I give you 75 quid.
Fantastic.
So then I was like, yeah, okay, I'll cancel my shift.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So I cancelled my shift, but logically you just think, what would I rather do? Sell pies for 5 hours and make 50 quid? He's laughing at this. So I'm being serious.
It's true.
Sell pies.
I love it.
Sell pies for 5 hours, yeah, make 50 quid. Or
these are the valuable lessons, man.
Or do what you love for 25 minutes and make 75 quid.
Man, there's another piece in there somewhere. There's a definite there's a message in there.
Well, that's it. But when, so
it's a no-brainer. Yeah, let's just call it that. Yeah. But so it's Villarreal tonight. Oh my god.
Villarreal, yeah.
I don't know much about this stuff. I'm a Birmingham fan. Like I said to you earlier, it's kind of a similar game. It's kind of got the same rules, but it looks a lot different. When I watched what Luis Diaz did against Everton on the TV, on was it Sunday night? I saw it. I watched it Sunday night. Did you see that trap he did from the crossfield ball?
Oh, immense!
I think it was Henderson dropped it over to him from about from about 30 or 40 yards, probably a ball.
He jumped up, didn't he? Put his leg behind the other one.
He trapped it in
Caught
the
it.
air off the ground and then carried on. And I think it was. Did they score from that? It's just like another world to me. That's just amazing.
Yeah.
That's your colour. That's who you are. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is all your family red, or you got a mixture?
Yeah, we're all reds. Like my granddad's a blue, but
there you go. You see,
yeah,
that's so unique to Liverpool. I find anyway, in my experience, that wouldn't happen in Birmingham.
What do you mean? As in the split?
There's absolutely no way that would happen. It just wouldn't happen because they get them young.
Oh, they get them young. Yeah,
they get them young, mate. And once you've been, I mean, the philosophy I used to hear and was probably true was, if a man changes his politics, then give him the benefit of that. Yeah. If a man changes his religion, then you need to keep an eye on him. If a man changes his football team, don't trust him. That's the way it is, isn't it?
Well,
mature a bit.
Of course. Well, like what we were saying about the tribal thing, like if it takes one person to sing the song and we all join in. So imagine if it wasn't a song. Imagine if it was an immoral act, or imagine if it was anything. Those who copy,
That's right.
But it's a sense of we have to. It's a sense of belonging. We have to belong somewhere, don't we?
That's right. That's right.
But where you belong,
Well, that's
the
part
question.
of the life's journey, and that is part of what you've got to learn to do, isn't it? That's a part of growth. That's a part of spiritual growth. It's about, yes, I got sucked into that there, and I really didn't even agree what was going on there. Why am I letting myself be dragged into this? I'm not that person really. That's not who I am. You've got to learn who you are during the course of your life, don't you?
Yeah, you think, why did I do that? Why did I do that back then? Or
That's
what?
right.
But
That's right.
You sacrificed your own integrity and everything that you stood for.
Correct.
And
that's right.
For the sake of what? For the sake of
just because you felt you needed to be part of that group, following like a sheep, because you wanted to belong.
And that's it. Well, so that's what I used with a man's manual.
Absolutely.
It's in English. It's a Bildungsroman form, which is where it's it's a coming of age story. So when you read a novel, for example, let me think of a coming of age story. Have you read the Kite Runner?
I haven't.
The
No.
Kite Runner. Oh, I can't think of anything else off the top of my head. But it's where like a young boy may grow up to become a man.
Sure.
That's a coming of age story.
Yeah.
So my poem is like that. He goes to the clubs. It starts off with all this, but then he's committed a crime,
That's
and
right.
now he goes to jail.
That's right.
So it's the growth.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But I think the first artistic representation of that I'm trying to think. There are a lot of songs, aren't there? A lot of songs out there. I saw on Jules Holland's latest show, I saw Ice-T perform a song called "I Must Stand." Have you heard that?
No, I heard that one. No.
Well, it stopped me in my tracks, just like your work has just done, and made me realise what a lot of people that I don't have in my circle until recently anyway, what they face on their growing up path, and it talks all about exactly what you just talked about. So check out "I Must Stand."
Definitely, will do. Yeah,
it's well worth it.
I will. I'll put it on. I'll put it on my Spotify after this.
It's on YouTube, absolutely, mate. So wow, this has been quite an emotional journey just for me, listening to your work and to hear, for me to hear about the growth path you're going through. And what are your ambitions from here, really? Obviously, your immediate ambition, being at university, you're going to want to graduate, of course. And is your performing your real passion? And okay.
That's my passion. So
it's about that.
Of course, academically, I want to graduate. So I need to, you could do. I'm working hard, so that's good. So I'm going to remain doing that. I'm just going to keep making me videos. Keep performing at bigger, better events. Just getting better. Just writing more, and just see where it leads. But I've actually been working on a book, so my first collection of poetry. I don't want to say too much on it, but hopefully, maybe get that out towards the end of the year or next year. And Yeah, just grow, just keep growing.
Yeah.
Just keep getting better.
Fabulous.
City,
So,
Sound City, you onto that?
okay.
With the unusual outsourcing company,
right.
they got a lot of events going down on Seal Street. I can't remember the dates, unfortunately. off the top
Okay,
of my head.
right, okay. So I think we're coming to the end of our time, and all I can say is, I wish you the greatest of luck on your journey. It's really important, the work that you're doing, and we haven't really covered mental health, in fact, have we yet? So I'm sorry, before we do close, can you talk about the mental health link that you're working with? Have you got any links into any organisations as such at the moment?
Well, actually,
Men's mental health, particularly.
Yeah. Well, actually, just coming off that Sofa Sounds event, I think one of the organisers,
Right.
he was a rugby player.
Right. Yes. Yes. He spoke, didn't he? Yeah.
Yeah. He said he'd like me to perform a man's manual to his rugby team.
Fantastic.
So I think I'm definitely not even a question. I'm going to do that.
Absolutely
definitely.
wonderful.
I think
yeah.
he said that for me to do that in June.
Yeah. Brilliant.
So just things like that. I'm always going to schools as well. I've got a few schools lined up to go into,
Yeah.
and I just do workshops, do writing. I think writing is absolutely fantastic. Writing is a form of thinking. All you're doing is just putting it down on a page. You can see your thoughts. How good is that?
That's right.
So imagine how good is that for your mental health if you can see your thoughts on the page?
Absolutely right. Absolutely right.
It's evidence, isn't it? It's proof.
It really is.
Of what's going on in here.
It really is, and I think we've all got family members. I certainly do have. I mean, very close family members who are struggling right now. With because of COVID, for example, with health anxiety, particularly. And it's really difficult for a lot of people at the moment out there. Really difficult. So yeah, that's a massive message, isn't it? And one that I try to promote as well, even amongst my own loved ones. If you've got that skill it's not even the skill. If you can just write what you're feeling, it really does help you to process it a bit in a different way, doesn't it? To get it out there and into a physical entity. You're absolutely right. I couldn't agree more, Joseph. I really couldn't agree more. So yeah, we're going to keep in touch for sure.
Absolutely, yeah.
Can you put out there what your social media handles are and so on, so that into the camera, so that people know where to find you online?
Yeah, so I'm mostly active on Instagram, so at official Joseph Roberts,
Okay.
and you can find me videos on YouTube, just Joseph Roberts on YouTube.
Fantastic.
And they're the main ones, but I've got Facebook's the same. They're all the same. Official Joseph Roberts.
They're all official Joseph
yeah.
Roberts. That's fantastic. So what I'd like to say is thank you for your time today. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you here in the studio at Liverpool Online, and we're going to keep in touch, and we're going to see an awful lot more of you, because I think you've got a fantastic future ahead of you if everything lines up.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Thank you.
It's been great to meet you today. So thank you so much. So once again, this has been mid-morning music, or mid-morning spoken word today, with me, Phil Beale, the weekly podcast on Liverpool Online, the Liverpool Online music channel. So thanks for listening and thanks for watching. So give us some feedback. Hit that subscribe bell, and you'll get notified of every time one of our podcasts comes online. It's Thursday mornings. It's 10 a.m. But just so you know, you'll get a notification on your phone or tablet or PC that the latest one's out. And hopefully we'll get Joseph out tomorrow, and that'd be really great if we can do that. And spread it again amongst all your friends. Get it shared, Joseph, mate. You can get it all out there, and we'll make the most of this opportunity for you to get your story out there. Thank you again. Signing off.